All right, guys, welcome to the Founder Bounty podcast. Today we have Til Klein from identity.vc. Thank you very much for coming on, Til.
Thanks for having me. Hi, Vlad.
Hi. Well, we're between Berlin and London. I guess it's raining in both places. As usual, I've just come back, and it's been it's been getting used to the rain. So how are you guys out there? How's it going?
Actually, the last hour kind of it cleared up a bit. So, but it was raining for the last 2 days. So it's pretty much So just spoke to one of my teammates who said, kind of now it's the next 4 months we have to go through that before it gets any better.
Well, we're used to it here, but we really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for coming on. So before I get into any kind of questions, I like to ask the basic question. What makes a good entrepreneur from what you've seen? And feel free to give an introduction of yourself, what you guys do, and the niche and sector you're in.
Sure. Yeah, maybe I start with kind of myself. So my background is I was a consultant for a long time, partner at BCG in the financial services area. So worked for banks and other financial institutions in Germany, in the Nordics, and in Southeast Asia. And then at some point I was kind of fed up of the incumbents because I saw very little innovation and typically when you work for a consultancy like BCG, it's the big companies who are your clients, but they move very slow. And left and right, there were the neobanks, and a lot was happening in the fintech space. And I was still starting at the very simple initial digitalization stuff. And that's why I decided, okay, let's start my own company in the fintech space. And we built a company that offered a digital pension product. And as startup is, I had to close it down in 2022. And since then, I changed side and I joined the dark side and became an investor and started identity.vc. And identity.vc is Europe's first venture capital fund that backs LGBTQ founders.
Right.
And the thesis behind that is pretty straightforward. The idea is that innovation comes from challenging the norm. And challenging the norm, that's in our DNA. So this is exactly one of the genes or one of the pieces of the puzzle you need to make a good founder. You need to be the disruptor, the rule breaker, the norm challenger. And this is why we are convinced that the LGBTQ community kind of genuinely make good founders. There's another dimension, which is the community. So I always say kind of you can be a solo founder, but you cannot found a company alone because you need to have a lot of resources, you need to have a network. And the LGBTQ community is quite an interesting community because it is very heterogeneous. So it goes across borders, across hierarchies, across industries. And this is a huge value, a huge asset to founders, which we try to help them and to make it their, let's say, buzzword alarm here, their unfair advantage. So to give them access to experts, to talent, even to clients, and to really leverage their community. That's how we can help founders to become more successful. And for us as a fund, it is also, I would say, kind of our superpower, because that's where we get our deal flow from. So 80% of our deals come from the community. Founders and other investors, they just recommend founders and they approach us. And also it helps us to get into deals. So we do get into deals so the last 3 deals we had were all oversubscribed and we still got in. So for us, the community is the core of the thesis and kind of a big asset. So that's kind of what we do. So very quickly to add on that, we do pre-seed and seed across Europe, sector agnostic. So that's kind of the investment strategy.
Got it. So I just wanted to focus on some really interesting point you made about they can't do it alone, and I think that ties into a lot of investors push on the idea a team is paramount, and I think Y Combinator and stuff push that. What are your thoughts on, because I think that's a very good point you made, and focusing on what it takes to build a good company, and I think team probably is one of the core. What are your idea and thoughts on what it takes to be a good company?
Team is core, of course, but only investing in founding teams is bullshit. Because honestly, all these investors haven't done their math. The likelihood that a founding team splits up is 30 to 50%. So that's a big risk. Mm-hmm. The likelihood that a founder gets hit by the bus is probably below 1%. So honestly, that's one of the bullshit myths in venture capital, whereas there's no reasoning behind if you look at the data. Having said that, you need to have a great team because, you might be able to found with AI, it becomes easier to start and to bootstrap a company. And kind of the ChatGPTs of the world are good sparring partners and very well helpful, and has made stuff tremendously easier. But at the end, you need expertise, you need experience, you need to have good people in the team. And typically as a founder, you cannot hardly be the best tech person in the world, the best go-to-market person in the world, the best fundraiser. Then you are whatever you're not real if you are super at all dimensions. So you need to have a team of superstars, and typically this requires more than one person. And even with all the help from AI, I think it's still crucial to have a team that brings different expertise, experience, and
right.
to the table.
Right. So different qualities of different team members, different experience and expertise, one potential tech guy, one tech founder, and one kind of generalist. So you think that combination really, from what you've seen, leads to a more successful outcome?
It depends on your model, what you need.
Right.
But the best tech person is not necessarily the best fundraiser and the best salesperson. So it also has to do with sometimes with mentality and the stuff you're passionate about. So, and to building a company, you need to have multiple functions and roles in the company.
Totally, absolutely. So something for you guys to learn, and it's a great advice from someone who's experienced in investing in early stage companies, which is, of course, having that diversity in a team, and also having a team rather than going as a solo founder. I wanted to turn the attention a little bit to not only, I guess, the sectors or advice on what early stage founders, what they should be focusing on the sector, but also investment, because an early stage founder has to go through so much, and has to go through, finding partners, finding investors, dealing with the operations of the company, growing the company. What, in your opinion, are the core things to focus on that you've seen kind of success with your companies that founders have been focusing on?
The key point is to focus. That's the first one. Before we talk about what to focus on, the key, and that means really fucking focus on one thing. And there's a lot of things, and it's the biggest mistake founders do. They don't focus, and they try to do 2 or 3 things in parallel, and that typically doesn't work. And what the focus should be really depends on the stage, because at the beginning, you really need to solve the problem solution and find a real solution to the problem. You need to have a brilliant idea. Then this is more shifting, building a team that is able to build the product that is the solution. Once you have the team, you build the product, then it's about product market fit. So it really kind of depends and changes. Also, your role as founder is changing over time. And 12 months later, you are in a complete different role, and the focus is a complete different one. And this is one of the key questions as a founder you always need to ask yourself. What is the core, and what should I and the team focus on for the next kind of 3 months, and then give 150% on that topic, and to solve that topic, and then the next one, and then the next one.
So this is a really interesting point, and having talked to a lot of founders, what is the time frame to which you think a founder should change focus? Let's say if something is not working, and you've mentioned the time frame there, 3 to 4 months. When should they pivot to something else or move their focus? What kind of time frame? Because that's something that everyone out there wants to know.
And there's no answer to that. Typically, it's too late. Typically, you do that too late, and
right.
So it is because you do that when the pressure is high, because it's not trivial. So you need to be stubborn, because when you have an idea and you start somebody, the whole world will tell you it's bullshit, which is a very good indicator. If the world tells you it's good, then you should stop it. So if you get if people tell you that's impossible, that is bullshit, that's not going to work, then you should proceed. Obviously, this is the way to a golden nugget. But, and that's the hindsight of it, is you should be also very open to figure out when it's at that end. And this is something, there is no right or wrong. And typically, you figure that out too late. So what you need to do is you need to be very open to yourself. And that's also one of the reasons why I recommend you have a team around you, because here you need to have people who are very open and give you honest feedback, and where you can bounce ideas and where you can spar ideas. And because this is something, it takes time to figure that out. Once you came to the conclusion, then stop immediately, turn around, and move as fast as possible in a new direction.
That's very good. I think that's a good point. Speed. So that's something that, of course, a lot of big VCs and investors, across the board, talk about the speed of, if it fails, change idea or pivot, move fast and fail fast, essentially, right?
Absolutely. That's what I did as a founder. I did many mistakes, and that was one mistake. So we also did a big pivot. And so we started the pivot too late. But anyway, so that you can't change. And to give you a bit of context, we offered a digital pension product. And then we figured out customers who were with us liked it, but still customer acquisition costs were pretty high. And we struggled to find the right channels where we could acquire customers at the right acquisition cost. And then we did a step back and did a large customer analysis, and I think we had 400 interviews. The whole company was interviewing customers. And then we figured out where the real pain point is. So what we haven't done properly is to understand the real pain point that holds customers back. And once we understood that much better, then we tried different things, we experimented, and we came up with a new idea. The interesting part of it is that it took us from coming up with a new idea to launching it and start scaling it, took us 1.5 years. And at the end, that killed us, because that was not fast enough. There was other reasons, but that was one of the reasons. So interestingly, 1 year later, another company launched exactly the same product, Exactly. And that was one of the most successful launches they ever had. And so, and also our initial kind of data we had on it showed that we are completely on the right track. But it took us too long. We have kind of burned too much money to prove that. And speed does matter. And speed is key, because speed is money, and money is a very scarce resource.
Yeah, it certainly is. Absolutely agree with everything you just said. In terms of sectors now, just a quick kind of pinch into what sectors, let's say, you're seeing right now in your investments, or within the sphere that you're working on. What are you seeing as working, and where should founders be concentrating right now?
I don't believe in the sector focus. Kind of, the problem is VCs are like herd animals. They all run in that direction, and the next month they run in that direction. So they're very bad in taking on risk and going their own ways. So that's why it leads to, this is hype, this is the next hype, whatever. At the end, it doesn't matter. The key point is, we now are in a situation with AI. This will be a technology that will fundamentally change all industries. This is very similar to what we've seen 25 years ago with the internet. Yeah, that was new. It's, by the way, then at that time we had funds that called themselves, we invest in internet, which now sounds ridiculous. Like their investment thesis was internet. It's like now we have funds that invest in AI. We will laugh a lot about that in 5 years, because this is not about AI. AI is a technology, the enabler, and it will have fundamental impact on fintech, on health, on defense, on production. So, but that's the game changer of our times, is that technology. And at the end, it doesn't matter where you are. So you need to find a problem that is where there is people around who are willing to pay for a solution to that problem. And then you can make use of that technology and solve that problem. And then you have a case. That's it. And honestly, this is not, it could be in fintech, it could be in health, it could be in consumer. And this herd behavior is unbelievable bullshit. So we will see change in all kind of different industries. It becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because honestly, if the money only flows in one direction, of course we will see more in that direction and in that area. So kind of the latest trend and the industries that are hype, of course, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. But at the end, the impact will be a lot across all industries. And once you find the problem, you have a solution, and you find somebody who funds it, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great. No, great insights. And I'm not sure if you answered this question I asked at the beginning, or we skimmed it, about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. But if you did, forgive me. If you didn't, please give us a quick 10 seconds, and then and then we'll head off.
And forgive me about the wording. It's have very big balls.
Yeah, I agreed.
Super courage. You need to be very bold, because founding a company is you jumping into a black hole, and you have no clue what's down there. And you know it will hurt. The question is, will it kill you or just hurt? And this is the key founder gene, is like, have an idea in mind and be insane in following that idea and do that. That's the key. And
Yeah,
this
I
is
agree.
everything else is a nice to have. If you don't have that, and if you're not willing to take incredible risk, then you
Don't
should
even
do
try.
something else. Yeah, because it's not
Yeah.
going to work. So founding a
Absolutely.
company is really like it is. You need to be crazy. It's not.
Yeah,
If you think about it, you wouldn't do that. And I think this is the key point. There's other things that come to that, and that's kind of course, it helps if you're smart. It helps if you're resilient because there's so many setbacks. So there's many. It helps if you're good, if you can sell it, if you're a good storyteller. So there's many dimensions, but they are all kind of useless if you don't have the one core, because all other characteristics or capabilities you can hire and you can bring in. The core, the taking the risk and really
As a founder, yeah.
go for that, this one is the core one that makes a good one.
Yeah, it's that kind of venturing into the unknown, which is the hardest part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and we'll definitely be getting more. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vlad. Thanks. It was
Thanks.
a pleasure.